Look, I'm late because I'm 8 hours behind, okay? Come on. Give me some slack. Give me some benefit. Come on, people. Welcome to the stream. And welcome to San Francisco. My name is Tommo. We are here. I don't know how good... We're going off of the hotel Wi-Fi. So I've got low latency on. Hopefully the quality of this isn't too bad. But we're going to have to just deal with what we've got. It seems to be okay. It says excellent connection, which is surprising. But yeah, thank you all for coming. Obviously, because I've got low latency on, so that the stream is actually half decent quality, I'm a bit late with your live chats, I'm afraid. So I'm going to do my best. It probably is going to lag a bit. It's probably, but we're going to get through. We're going to manage, okay? We're going to try our best. Because as you can tell from the background, we're not at home. Still on my honeymoon. Still working. Always on the grind. Hannah piping up in the background. You'll hear her every now and then. That's what she likes to do. Yeah, we had a long day yesterday. Went to Alcatraz, as you do in San Francisco. Apparently walked 30,000 steps, according to Hannah. She got a blister on the back of her foot because she can't handle it. She can't keep up. My feet are fine. These are fine, mate. Boom. As Hannah gets chocolate. But yeah, what's the time? It's 12:30 in the afternoon. So we had a nice lay-in today. Going to keep it quite chilled today because it was a busy day yesterday. We've got all day tomorrow. We're going to bike Golden Gate Bridge, do all that good stuff. So welcome to everyone who is maybe in San Francisco or is from San Francisco. Welcome everyone. Everyone here. Obviously, I know it's like 8:30 in the evening back in the UK. British Grand Prix this weekend. Hannah's doing just open it. She's just decided to make the most noise she's done all day as soon as I start streaming, because it's always about my wife now, isn't it? Yes, my wife. But yeah, thank you all for coming. We're going to talk today about the British Grand Prix. Now, obviously, I've kept my kind of... I've not been... Obviously, there's been a week off, right? So there's not been that much to kind of look into. Obviously, you do kind of appreciate when you're on the West Coast, when you're 8 hours behind UK time. Maybe it's... I mean, obviously, because most of the accounts I follow are European-based, I guess. But I feel so behind on everything that's being talked about, because you wake up and everything's already happened, pretty much. So I really feel the sympathy for any kind of West Coast, Australian, Asian supporters in those parts of the world that are far from, because it is much more difficult to just kind of casually follow the sport and keep up to date with things, when things aren't kind of in the time zone. Thank you, Guy, mate, by the way, for the 179. No, it's late, but congratulations to you and Hannah. Up the West Ham. Cheers, Guy. Yes, it is. So yeah, exactly. Try living in Australia. I sympathise with your calls. Okay. This weekend, British Grand Prix. I think we're going to be in Yosemite. Is that correct? For this weekend? Oh no, Napa. Okay. On the Sunday for the race, Napa, which is like North Napa Valley wine region. Very, very nice. And then for the Austrian Grand Prix, we'll be in LA. So I'm going to find a way of watching that. But yeah, so British Bias Week, exactly. Silverstone, you know what? Like, round 10, memories, eh? I mean, look, Silverstone classically delivers bangers. Okay, typically it's a pretty good race. We obviously had a sprint weekend last year at Silverstone. We don't have that this year, do we? I'm pretty sure we don't, because we do at Austria, but we don't at Silverstone. So no, am I? I'm kind of central in the frame. Need to go over a little bit. There we go. Yeah, round 10, Silverstone. many memories from the last winner, which was Lewis Hamilton in 2021. Under completely non-controversial circumstances. Quite the throwback that was, wasn't it? Look, at the end of the day, what happened, and Lewis took the win. Max ended up taking the championship, and everyone was happy, right? No, not right. But there you go. Am I at Silverstone? No, I'm not at Silverstone. I am at San Francisco this weekend. So yeah, look, it was a great race last year. I anticipate that. I think Silverstone is a top track. I do. It's not my favourite, but it's up there. I think it's in most. I feel like it would be an unpopular opinion to say that Silverstone's not very good. Yeah, I mean, I feel like most people agree that Silverstone's a pretty decent track. Maybe that is a bit British bias. Maybe. I don't think so, but maybe. Now, typically it delivers interesting, exciting races. I don't know what's weather like this weekend in the UK for Silverstone. I actually don't know. So let me know in the chat. Obviously, we've had numerous types of weather over the years at Silverstone. You get it boiling hot, or you get it cold and raining. It's usually one or the other. What chocolate we got some? What's it called? Ghirardelli chocolate. Apparently, that's quite well known in San Francisco. It's good chocolate. Should be wet Saturday. Cloudy but dry, rain during quali. Okay, interesting. Rain expected. Well, come on, England, deliver the rain. All right. Because that's I think that's the kind of dream, isn't it? You get rain quali, and you get rain quali, and you get dry race. That's the dream. Oh, hello, JP with a $49.99. Appreciate that, mate. Thank you very much. Very kind. Since you can actually use the USD. True. We need to get some. We need to get some cash out as well, don't we? We need to get some cash out today. Thank you, JP. Very kind of you, mate. Appreciate it. Very, very kind. Big up, JP, with the humongous dono. Does that mean I'm technically working, and then ICE are going to kick the door in? You're working. Please don't. But yeah, I think that. I think the main kind of story around this weekend is there's been a lot of talk for a while now about Silverstone being the place where Mercedes particularly are bringing these upgrades that are going to make a big step up with their car, right? Do I think Mercedes are going to be able to deliver a race-winning car package this weekend? Look, it's one of them that it's all well and good bringing an upgrade. It's another thing actually implementing it and understanding it. I think whatever they do bring, I'm interested to see. I've seen a kind of few behind the scenes pictures of the cars, but I don't know. Regardless, even if they do bring, which they are apparently bringing upgrades this weekend, and I'm sure they're not the only team. Aston Martin just around the corner. Williams have talked about bringing upgrades as well, which obviously they need to take a step forward because they're firmly at the back at the moment. It's all well and good bringing them, but again, implementing them, understanding them with real world data, not just CFD sim data. That's a different kettle of fish. So I'm still very much expecting this to be a Ferrari Red Bull fight at the front. I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see a third team. Hell, Alpine. Bring on out. I think Alpine's probably behind Mercedes. I think they've probably got the better package than McLaren at the moment. Home race for them, Enstone just down the road. So I think I would expect I think we're gonna just keep. I'm just gonna keep on saying this at the minute. It's very hard to look past Max Verstappen in that Red Bull. The car's looking rapid. He's looking rapid. It was a Lewis win last year. we know Mercedes have been consistent. They've been super consistent this year in terms of, technical reliability, which has kept them in the fight. You got to know George is still ahead of Carlos Sainz in the Drivers' Championship, which is crazy. So if Mercedes can turn this car around, and if they can bring a big juicy upgrade that's going to deliver race-winning performance, it's not too late, but it's a lot to ask because Mercedes spending all that time developing the car to fix the porpoising, to try and make this philosophy work all the time. Red Bull and Ferrari, it's not like they're not working. They're not just sitting on their hands. Like, they're still developing their cars and improving their cars. So, but again, we will come to see whether the Ferrari, the Red Bull, or the Mercedes philosophy, which one has the highest ceiling. Because I think as time goes on, eventually, in the short term, yeah, it might be Red Bull, Ferrari, but maybe I don't believe this to be true. I just don't know. Maybe the Mercedes philosophy does have the highest ceiling, and it will just take longer to get there. But then when they do get there, they will be able to outdevelop the rest. I don't know. Maybe not. Remains to be seen. Thank you, Robert, mate, for the 10 Canadian. Hello from Cape Breton Island, Nova Scotia, Canada. Nova Scotia, big up. Didn't go to Nova Scotia. Montreal, Vancouver, Jasper, Banff, Kamloops for one night. Tell you what, Vancouver is lovely. I've got to tell you. Vancouver's right up there in top cities for me. Thank you, Stefan, as well, for the 449. Check out Alberto. Big up Alberto. He's always posting insight and data. Williams and Alpine have updates very much like Red Bull and Ferrari. Congrats on the marriage and honeymoon. Interesting. Well, look, I'm not gonna because I'm laptop hotel room. It's not the dual screen setup I have at home, so I haven't got all these like prepped share screens ready to show you. But take a look after this. Obviously, you lot, most of you in Europe, are going to bed soon, so but I'm not. They still plenty. Only 12 minutes into the stream as well. Thank you, Osama, as well, for the 5. Happy for a 9-way fight at the front. Just no Mercedes just this year. Love your videos. Thank you, mate. Listen, I think at the end of the day, things change very quickly. It's almost like we're you had 8 years of Mercedes kind of dominance in terms of constructors anyway. And all of a sudden they're not in that fight. And it's like, well, I'd rather Mercedes make it a 3-car battle at the front than it stay a 2-car battle, 100%. Would I like it to be an Alpine or a McLaren or a Haas or an AlphaTauri up there fighting? If I could choose them over Mercedes, I guess. But to be honest, it's been long enough now with Mercedes not. I know it's only been like 9 races with Mercedes not winning, but I don't know. I'll just be like, okay, cool. I would still like Mercedes to be fighting at the front. To be honest, it's almost like that. That 8 years is just kind of. I've just forgotten about the 8 years. And I'm just like, you know what? Yeah, well, I'll welcome them back at the front because I'm more interested. That's the thing. Again, I guess it just depends on how you follow the sport, right? I think that ultimately, what I want is a competitive sport at the front. I want a competitive throughout, of course, but especially at the front. And whatever teams they are, any team dominating, whether it was Ferrari back in, the early mid-2000s, whether it was, obviously Mercedes' most recent domination, whether you go back to the McLaren and the Williams days of domination. Like, domination is never a good thing. Like, it doesn't matter who the team is. We want to see competitive. You know what I mean? I don't really care what teams are competitive. I want competition in the sport. And, I like all the drivers. I like all 20 of them. I don't have any negative feelings towards really any of them. So, bring it on. You know what I mean? Bring it on. You got Stockholm syndrome. Maybe. I mean, at the end of the day, yeah. Mercedes have had their time. Let someone else, let Alpine, let McLaren, let Aston Martin, let Lance Stroll fight for wins. Look, listen, I feel like Aston Martin could be, given where they started at the start of the year, and it was looking bleak, and how they've seemingly kind of turned it around with this upgrade and produced a car now that is, yeah, I think if Seb has a clean weekend, he's fighting with the Alpine and McLaren, I think. If there's like no big car issues and no big kind of issues on track, I think that car now, they've got it to a place where it can be competitive with the Alpine and McLaren at the kind of front of that kind of midfield, which is impressive. We'll see how that goes long term, I suppose. But yeah, there we go. I think that ultimately my predictions, again, I don't foresee anything other than a strong Ferrari Red Bull fight at the front. You know, like, I'd love to see a 2019 return, because obviously 2019 we had Verstappen and Leclerc battling. One of my favourite battles in F1 history, no doubt. 2019 Verstappen and Leclerc at Silverstone. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look it up, watch it on the F1 YouTube channel, posted like highlights from it. It is so good, such a good battle. They weren't battling for the win, because you had the Mercedes boys cleaning up. But maybe this year, that would be good. That would be sick. But yeah, so I think, prediction-wise, it's hard to look past Max, I'll be honest. For win, I guess kind of biggest... What do you lot think? Who's going to win? Come on, chat. Give me the three-letter acronym of the driver. So VER or LEC or PER or whoever. ALB. Come on. You know it's coming. You know it's coming. Ver. A lot of vers. Occasional look. Occasional nor as well. Fernando. Alpine just doesn't have the out and out pace, I'm afraid. Latifi would be vibes. Okay, so I'm actually going to say I think this is the weekend Mick Schumacher gets points, or a point at least. I think this is the weekend Schumacher gets on the tap, because yeah, I completely understand all the criticism around Mick. I really do. He's shunted too many times, but at the end of the day, I think his out and out pace, and you look at the qualifying delta average across the year, and I think he is able to match K-Mag on one lap pace, which is promising. I don't think he's there race pace wise, but I think this is the weekend that Mick gets his point, I would say. Hang on, I'll just do main screen. Boom. So yeah, I think that's probably my kind of left field shout. But yeah, in terms of disappointment, it's hard really. There's nothing that kind of really stands out. But why don't we just go for all the teams? Thank you 2246 by the way for the $2. Watch party in the sports bar at LA Sunday morning. Apparently there's nowhere open Sunday morning for the Austrian Grand Prix. So I was told firmly that I wasn't going to have any luck. So never mind. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Red Bull. I feel like this is probably going to be a Max win, isn't it? I feel like it's a home Grand Prix for Red Bull as well. So maybe that gives them some kind of, because you got to think when it comes to upgrades, when it comes to managing the weekends, being close to home must help relative to Ferrari, who are based in Maranello. Having your base just down the road must give some kind of advantage. You know what I mean? I think that I think Red Bull are on for a good weekend. Max Verstappen probably going to win. But Ferrari up there, fair enough. Mercedes, look, again, no reason why I wouldn't see them being best of the rest, unless these upgrades do the opposite, which has happened before. upgrades don't always convert into performance, unfortunately. But this is a purpose-built racing track, nice smooth surface. Porpoising issues should be... Oh, yeah. That's something I wanted to ask you. Like, what's the deal with the old porpoising enforcement thing as well? Because I haven't heard anything more. Obviously, again, I've missed a lot of that because I've not been following it because I've either been asleep or I've been doing stuff. So what is the latest on the whole porpoising enforcement regulation thing? Because I honestly don't know. Postponed. French GP. Okay. Interesting. Did they give? Because I know they said. Well, I guess they didn't out and out say when they were going to postpone it to, did they? Still gathering data on how to enforce. I mean, fair enough, I guess. Again, I feel like, we've got literally one more street circuit for the rest of this year, right? Singapore, which is a fair few races away. So, the porpoising, the bouncing, that are kind of different, but kind of related. We've got these nice, smooth, purpose-built racing tracks now for most of the rest of the year. So that should limit at least the bouncing side, I guess. Look, I think ultimately it's probably the right decision for them to step in and do something and mandate something because, ground effect cars do inherently porpoise. So should this have been foreseen? Like, it's easy in hindsight to say, but these cars porpoised in the 80s when they had ground effects. So you got to wonder, But then obviously there was also that, which I'm not sure if that was verified as true or not. The whole kind of teams were offered, or teams were, was it something like the teams were told that, we can enforce a kind of maximum ride height or maximum bouncing or whatever, or something like that. It was kind of foreseen, but the teams rejected it, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. And they rejected it, which is on them. But at the end of the day, no one knew how, no amount of CFD was going to really replicate the actual levels of porpoising. And the, I think the extreme example, which was obviously Baku, Hamilton, as Hannah starts creating in the background, was... Okay. Yeah, that was like an extreme example to show like how bad it can be in the worst possible amounts. And yes, Hannah is laughing at the scene when Ricciardo nails Norris right in the mush with the. It is quite funny, to be fair. It is quite funny. So yeah, we'll see with the porpoising. At least that they are like getting on top of it. I like to think, but there's only really like big bangs that are going on outside. By the way, I don't know why. Hopefully I won't get shot. But we are in San Francisco, so there you go. Thank you, Super Max and Minister of Defence, for joining Friends of Tom. I appreciate it. Budget cap as well. Yeah, budget cap's obviously a lot of talk at the minute. I think McLaren have said that they're going to be slowing down, if not stopping development on their car earlier than previously anticipated. Look, I think that I would be surprised if... I don't know the ins and outs of the budget cap, all right? I'm not sitting here professing expertise on every single element of Formula One, right? But I would be surprised if when they enforced the budget cap, there wasn't an acknowledgement of inflation. Yes, inflation has been higher than, it has been for a long time and higher than would have probably been anticipated. But surely there would have been some kind of clause, if you're going to enforce a budget cap, that would take inflation into account, or at least acknowledge the existence of inflation, because inflation always has and always will exist. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that at the end of the day, there will be teams that will struggle more with it than others. But there are also teams that aren't even going to get to the budget cap. So, I just think that at the end of the day, if a team like Haas, let's just assume, I think it's safe to assume that Haas, we don't know, right? But it's safe to assume that Haas aren't going to get to the budget cap. So the budget cap existing doesn't really affect the teams that don't get to it, okay? because it's not going to affect them because they're just going to spend as much as they can, but it still won't hit the budget cap. Like, they're going to be dealing with inflation as much as anyone else. The costs of F1 aren't going to massively change. Like, honestly, like, I'm very much like, you just got to deal with it. And obviously the top teams are going to try and, you know, hype up and make the most of it to get benefit from themselves. Like, I don't blame them for doing that at all. You know, that's the prerogative of the teams, right? But yeah, I just think that deal with it. That's kind of just how I feel about it, to be honest. But anyway, what else? So yeah, porpoising getting sorted, budget cap problem, deal with it. What other teams? So Alpine, haven't really talked about that. So Alpine kind of, yeah. What am I expecting? I think in terms of best of the rest after Mercedes. Because McLaren have been kind of very hot and cold this year, haven't they? AlphaTauri occasionally, you know, they had a great Baku weekend, terrible Canada. Yeah, I just don't know. And also, obviously, there was a lot of talk. I do wonder, has it been confirmed if anyone is running a young driver in FP1? Because I haven't heard any talk of that, but I wouldn't be surprised. It kind of makes sense. Georgia Lewis high this weekend. Again, I think that. So how did laughing like mad? Why are you laughing? What are you laughing at? The space. She's still laughing at the space hopper. I mean, it's good, but come on. Have you seen that? There's someone got a picture of literally someone in the crowd at the moment it hits Lando's face. It's like perfectly. It's very good. It's very funny. Nice broken nose confirmed. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, Alpine upgrades. I don't know. I don't know what to. You know, Alfa Romeo. They show pace, particularly in the hands of Valtteri, but I think Joey's kind of improving and getting there now. AlphaTauri, Aston Martin now getting. I think that fight is like super exciting. You know what I mean? I think that's super interesting. It's anyone's guess. I do think, you know, Seb Vettel clean weekend, Aston Martin is probably gonna be up there. I would say behind the Mercedes, I'd probably put my money on Seb in the Aston, because they do seem to have turned, and they are literally a stone's throw from Silverstone, so they're as home as they can get. You know what I mean? They might as well not even bring their motorhomes. They might as well just, we just factories there. It's fine. We don't even need it. You know, when they do a pit stop, just get the pit crews to just run over from the factory. Take them about 10 minutes with the tyres. Boom, stick them on. Lovely. I think, yeah, obviously there was talk, wasn't there, around. I think with the rumours with Piastri linking him to Williams was talk about for Silverstone. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Latifi's going to be out of his seat early. But it does seem, from what I've read, from what I've heard, it's the writing's on the wall. Do I think anything's going to change this weekend, though? Probably not. Do I think Carlos will win a race this year? Yeah, I do. I have faith. He's cocked up himself, but he's had bad luck as well. And yeah, I'm confident. I've got faith in Carlos that he will eventually get that win, because he's got a multi-year deal with Ferrari. He's not going anywhere at the end of the day, right? You know, whether it's this year, whether it's next year, whatever. I think Carlos will get a win. Next unexpected winner. I mean, would you say the Mercedes boys would be unexpected winners? Because I think in terms of, you know, picking up the pieces, if there is issues for the Red Bull, which is again what they've been able to do consistently this year, especially George, is pick up the pieces and convert really good finishes. Obviously, Lewis has been seemingly been testing a more experimental version of the car, right? which I think does account for some of that delta for sure. But I think also George has just been driving at an unreal level, and we're almost at halfway, aren't we, as well? Literally, this is round 10, Austria. I think when I get back, because we fly back just after the Austrian Grand Prix back to the UK, and I think probably my first video when I get back will be like my mid-season, because it'll be 11 races done, 11 to go, mid-season kind of report card as such. Because there's been some very impressive drives this year, very impressive, and some not so impressive. But yeah, we'll see about that. Do I think Daniel will be able to get... You know what, I think that the last 2 races for Daniel Ricciardo have been, you know, Lando's had his issues, particularly last weekend in Canada, but I think that, you know, Daniel just needs the ship to steady. And I said it in my roast of Daniel Ricciardo video, I'll say it again. I hope he turns it around. I hope he's able to get back up to those levels. Do I actually see it happening? Because I do think Lando is just, in part, is just that good. I think if Daniel can get back up to his prime levels, then for sure he's, you know, at least matching Lando. I think a lot of people are quick to say, oh, Lando's not at the levels that Daniel... But again, Lando's not been given a race-winning car. Daniel was. And I think if Lando, you know, that opportunity to win in Russia, he was up there on merit. Obviously, the strategy call, that screamed... You know, that was as much inexperience from him as it was from the team, I think. I think the team could have managed that and been a lot more assertive with Lando. I think Lando needed that in that moment. But, you know, you learn from these things, you know. Lewis made his cock-ups in his junior career. So did Alonso. So did Vettel. So did Schumacher. So did Senna. So did everyone. And, you know, you got to grow from these experiences. And I think Lando's getting there for sure. I think it's too early to say that Lando's... Because you just can't, like, if you're not in a race-winning car, it's impossible. It's impossible to truly judge Lando's levels relative to Daniel's prime levels at Red Bull. You just can't do it. As much as we try, you can say what you think, but that's about it, isn't it? But yeah, I think ultimately, I think that this will be Max Verstappen's weekend. I think obviously you got F2 as well, and F3 at Silverstone. Logan Sargent, my favourite F2 driver. He's highest rated rookie so far this year. Been pretty consistently up there. He's in a good car. He's in a Carlin. Carlin know how to bring drivers through. I think that what I think is that Williams are probably lining up Sargent, but maybe would take Piastri next year. It depends, because the thing is as well, it does... Right, hear me out. So, obviously Felipe Drugovich is killing it in F2 right now. He's got a pretty convincing lead at the minute. Still a long way to go, but Felipe's looking good. Now, obviously, Felipe's not attached to any driver program, so it'd be interesting to see what happens there if he does stay on top. If Logan is able to keep and maybe improve as this season goes on, and because you've got to remember, he was ahead of Oscar Piastri in F3 before the final race at Mugello, and then got caught up in an incident. Didn't end up winning. Came very close to winning that F3 title in the same year that Piastri won it. Then didn't have the budget to get into F2, stayed in F3 at Charouz, a lower team. And now he's in F2, I think he's flexing. You've got to wonder with Williams, because yeah, if they do take Piastri, it's seemingly an offer that's been offered to them with Piastri staying as part of Alpine, as like a 1-year deal maybe. But then if Sargent has a really strong end to this F2 year, which he could have, because it's been decent so far, you know, he is a Williams driver. He's an American kid as well, like, which is only going to help. And Williams are doing a lot. I mean, they had a pop-up store in Montreal. They had pop-ups. They've pop-up in Westfield at the minute for British Grand Prix. Like, the Rilton are doing bits in terms of like pushing Williams out there and marketing them. And there could be, because I do think they are lining him up for that seat alongside probably Albon. would make sense because Alex is doing a really good job at the minute, and bring in Logan Sargent as your junior, your Williams junior, to cultivate and build him and move him up. I think he's shown more promise than Latifi kind of ever did in junior formulas, to be honest with you. I think there's a lot of excitement around Logan Sargent. So it's an interesting one. It's an interesting thought. Imagine Porsche. Yeah, there's Porsche as well, isn't there? Porsche's doing a good job. He's because he's still so young. That's the thing as well. That obviously is a tick on his report card because he's a good year or two younger than a lot of the drivers around him. But obviously he's affiliated with Alfa Romeo. Obviously I think Joe's doing a good job as well. I think a lot of the talk was, Joe Guanyu comes in, and a lot of people at the start, probably myself included to an extent, was like, oh yeah, he'll come in, maybe do a season. Alfa will get that bag, and then probably get Tao Pourchaire in that seat. But actually, I think, from what we've seen so far this year, as a rookie season, and I know we haven't got any other rookies to really compare, but I think Joe's had a... Joe Guanyu, I think, has had a more impressive 2022 than Mick Schumacher has. And I think the expectations around Mick are rightly higher because this is his second year in the sport. But again, there is that caveat that his first rookie year, he wouldn't have gained the same value from it because he was racing alongside Nikita Mazepin. So, and a back marker that was miles off the back, so he wasn't getting an opportunity to battle. Joe's getting... he made a great move around the outside of Seb at Montreal. Joe Guanyu, fantastic move. Mick wasn't getting the opportunities last year in his rookie season to have those battles, was he? Apart from when, Max got his side pod destroyed at Hungary and then was battling through. That was the only time we saw Mick battling with anyone other than his teammate. So yeah, I think that I think Joe's good. This is always the question. When I was in Montreal, I was chatting to a guy and he said to me about mandating the F2 winner has to have an F1 seat every single year. Obviously, the problem with that is that I don't think there's enough teams to do that, to merit that. And I think Felipe Drogovic, obviously, this is his third year of F2, I think, because he was at MP, then he left and went to another team. Now he's back at MP, and he's always done well at MP. So, obviously, a third season winner of F2, if Felipe does win it, that's kind of like what Nick de Vries did, I think, because I think Nick de Vries took 3 years to win it. So, again, it's not like Piastri jumping in rookie season and winning it. That is very impressive. I think in your third year of F2, expectations should be that you should be up there fighting and potentially winning it. So, yeah, that's it. He was at UNI Virtuosi, which is Virtuosi is a great team. So I'm not really sure why, but he just seems to have a really good vibe with MP. So it's working well for Felipe. But yeah, I don't really, because I feel like if Piastri does replace Latifi and Joe continues on his positive progression, which he does seem to, because look, as much as Joe didn't win F2, he was always, he was able to win races across multiple seasons. He was able to put himself in the fight, and I think he is giving a level of performance higher than we've seen from in the same period of time from Nicholas, for sure. Look, it was hard to rate Nicky in the early doors because the Williams was miles off the back. At least Joe's getting an opportunity to fight in a good car. But yeah, I feel like this F1 field, there's obviously all the questions around Lance Stroll, which are, more than ever. I think if Aston Martin really want to be a top tier team, do I think Lance Stroll's a driver that's gonna, in the long term? Because Vettel, they're only going to have Seb for so long. I don't see Seb staying in the sport until into his 40s, like Fernando has done. Maybe he will. I don't know, but I don't see that happening. And yeah, obviously Lance is still very young, but the performances, they're okay. I think he's clear of Latifi for sure, but I just don't think he's that special driver that a team like Aston Martin, I think, would need if they really want to fight for, world championships down the line. But yeah, and Joe's kept out of the barriers. It's a good point as well. But yeah, I think it's exciting to see the G. But yeah, I do wonder where the opportunities are coming. Obviously, hopefully, more teams on the grid. We can get an Andretti in. Be nice. Get an Audi in as their own team, not buying someone else out. That'd be lovely as well. I really hope kind of Andretti get the opportunity. That'd be great. That'd be lovely to see. Not just because they're an American team and the sport's growing in America, just because then there's 2 more seats for drivers to prove themselves in Formula One. I think a 12-team F1 would be the dream, really, wouldn't it? But obviously, you've got to spread the prize money more evenly, and the teams don't like that, who are currently in. So they're obviously just going to think of themselves. But F1 has got to think of the sport as a whole, and I think 12 teams would be lovely. And Hauger as well, yeah. Hauger's doing a great job. I think that Yuki's made a good step forward. I think this year. I think we've all seen that. Like relative to Pierre, I think I know he had his absolute bum moment in Montreal. Look, he was pushing. The team were hyping him up on the radio, like, "Come on, you're racing at pit exit," and he cocked up and he made a George Russell-esque mistake. But look, you would rather your driver that at least Yuki's pushing, at least he's going for it. His pace is good. He'll learn from this, I'm sure. He'll beat himself up in the short term, but he'll look back and laugh, I'm sure. And yeah, you do wonder, he's still super young. I would imagine that, Red Bull would long term like him to replace Sergio alongside Max. I guess that's probably what they're aiming for in the long term. I don't see that happening for a good, few years, because I think Sergio's doing a great job. But I think once you get to the point where Yuki, if Yuki's able to continue to deliver good performances and, put himself on the map, other teams would potentially start swirling as well if he's not getting the step up to Red Bull, and then it might come to the point in the same way that, Red Bull had to kind of put Max in the Toro Rosso to stop Mercedes from signing him. What a weird alternative universe that would have been if Mercedes had signed Max Verstappen. Man, that's crazy. Because that's why Red Bull snapped him up and put him in the Toro Rosso so early. He had his first test he'd only been 17 for like a few days, hadn't he? When he did his first run at Suzuka. Was it Suzuka? I can't even remember. I know I did a video about it, but I can't remember. They've got to be... That is the... When you've got so many good young drivers, obviously Hauger's doing very well in F2 at the minute. He's looking like he could potentially mount a title championship now. He's kind of finding his stride, his F3 champion from last year. Maybe he might do a Piastri. He might win F2 this year. It'd take a lot to overturn Felipe's lead, but stranger things have happened. So, was he still 16? It's crazy, isn't it? Crazy. But yeah, I think there's opportunities, I think. But only time will tell. Hopefully Yuki can continue to deliver, because I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Yuki Tsunoda. Right, okay, we're at about 45 minutes, and I feel like I've pretty much spoken on everything that I really wanted to speak about. Obviously, there's that horrible elephant in the room that's happened over, and again, it's been. Well, obviously, I go to sleep here in San Francisco, wake up, look on my phone, and there's like all this news. And I've been trying to kind of avoid too much F1 stuff, you know what I mean? Because, I'm on holiday. But obviously I haven't been able to avoid the whole, Yuri Vips news dropped now by Red Bull after he drops the M-bomb on a stream. And what was it? So, yeah, he's been dropped by Red Bull, but High Tech have kept him on. So he will still be racing in F2. And F2 put a statement out basically saying that they don't agree with the decision of the team to keep Yuri on. And the classic, they condemned the statement, blah, blah, blah. So you had that earlier. What was it? That was like last week, wasn't it? I can't remember when that was. And then you've also had Nelson Piquet, 3-time F1 world champion. And again, I've kind of looked into as much as I can. Look into, because it was one of these where it was an interview done in Portuguese. He's Brazilian, and he uses a term that appears to be equivalent to the N-bomb, basically, in the Portuguese language. And I've tried to like look into as much as like what the and you know, he's put out an apology, basically saying that it was wrong to use it, but it's all the classic, right? Oh, I was wrong to say this, but and someone in his family was like, oh, the family use it like endearingly to each other, blah blah blah. It's like, bruv, like how, like first of all, how careless, like even if that is the case, even if that is the truth, right, that it is this term of endearment that's used amongst your family or amongst the people you know, right? If you choose to use that word like that, which I'm just like, what, whatever, okay, like even if that is true, like you're giving an interview to a like outwardly facing media, like first of all, like that's just incredibly, even if that is true, that's just incredibly stupid, right? To not acknowledge that obviously people are going to have a massive issue with this because of what the word is and what it stands for and what it means, especially when he's talking. So Nelson Piquet was talking about Silverstone last year and being critical of Lewis for the crash. So you use the word in the context of being critical about a black man. Like I'm sorry, like Nelson, that's like, how can you not like appreciate that people are going to interpret that as being racist? Like obviously, it's so stupid. So now there's been, you know, he's been. I was reading a statement earlier this morning. It was something from the British Racing Drivers Association, I think. And they've like dropped it, and there's talk of like he's not allowed in the paddock and blah blah blah. And obviously there's all this equivalent, there's all this extra context to it, because which obviously muddies it and makes it a much more kind of difficult situation, and more because you had Bernie going off this morning on TV as well, didn't you? I read a bit of just in Putin's arse. It's just ridiculous. If you want to look into that, I wouldn't recommend it. And and because obviously Nelson Piquet is Kelly Piquet's dad, as far as I'm aware, who is Max Verstappen's girlfriend. So there's all this additional like stuff that comes with it. There's nothing more to say on the issue. Like obviously it's absolutely condemnable what him and Yuri have said. What you think their punishment should be. I mean, look, Yuri's a young kid. Nelson Piquet's and much older, much wiser, you would think anyway. A man who, you know, we know his affiliations with Bolsonaro. So does it surprise me? No, not really. Look, I'm not the right person to be asking for what should happen. I don't know. It's grim. It's a shame in 2022 we're still talking about this nonsense, to be honest. And I'm glad that, you know, a lot of people have spoken up against and about it, and a lot of the drivers, you know, have been in clear solidarity with Lewis. At the end of the day, look, there's nothing more to say. It's just it's ridiculous when stuff like this, you know, everyone should be equally condemning it. But at the end of the day, what the punishment for the crime should be, I don't know. You know, I mean, I'm not the right person to ask for that at the end of the day. But yeah, that's it. Not much more to say. Thank you, Ibrahim, for the 500 KES. Lewis podium this weekend is all we want. Listen, like Lewis, you wouldn't think that like last year, be like, oh, Lewis win would be exciting at Silverstone, because you know it's happened many times before. But I think this year that would be vibes. Right, I've said pretty much everything I want to say. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate you all taking the time. And I guess I will next see you, because I'm basically keeping the channel alive with live streams, because I don't want to edit while I'm on holiday, because editing is probably the longest part and the most kind of draining part of what I do. And live streams are much more. I enjoy them. I get to chat with you lot. Set up a bit beforehand. Get the camera set up wherever I am in the world. We can have a talk. We can have a chinwag. And I will see you probably for the... I'll do a pre-race... Well, no, I'll do a post-race after Silverstone. Don't know when that will be. Because, again, we'll be in Napa/Yosemite. Who knows exactly where. I can't remember. And then I'll do a pre-race for Austria. And then probably a post-race from Austria, maybe. We'll see. But, so, yeah, enjoy the Silverstone British Grand Prix. Hopefully it's a banger. And... stay well, stay safe, stay happy, stay hydrated. Thank you, Supermax, again. The 2 Aussie. I want Carlos to win or George to win, to be fair. That would be vibes. First George win in F1. First Carlos Sainz win in F1. Both would be welcomed by me. Right, cheers, everyone. Thank you again, everyone, for coming. Appreciate you taking the time. And I will see you when I see you. Goodbye. Ciao, adios. I am done. Au revoir.